Good evening or good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to meeting number 8 of the Finance Committee dealing with the 2023 budget. First, I'll be looking for a declaration, or if there is any declarations of pecuniary interest tonight. Seeing none, we will move on to the matters at hand tonight. When we adjourned last time, we had directed staff to come up with a budget that provided for a 2.95% increase in the tax rate, and with the operating and capital combined, looking to increase our debt about $4.5 million to finance some of the capital projects that are being completed this year, and that we would be transferring about $2.8 million from reserves in order to make the budget work. And so I believe that that has been accomplished, and so I'm going to turn the microphone over to Bill Dakin, who will take us through the items tonight.
Thank you, Chair. To Council, Finance Committee, sorry. So we did take the recommendations from Council, Finance Committee last meeting, basically with reduction of the wayfinding projects and the trail allocations in the capital, as well as reducing or sort of removing the hospital donation of $100,000, plus reducing the one HR position from the requested generalist position to extending the summer student. We were able to accomplish the request of making it so our overall tax rate increase is 2.95. As Chair already pointed out, we are increasing loans and debt by about $4.5 million, and we're also taking about $2.8 million out of reserves to accomplish that as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with Council, and
while you're doing that, I should have mentioned Councillor Derbyshire may be with us. There he is, right there. Welcome, Councillor Derbyshire. So we're all here now.
So if you see my Zoom screen, that's not the one I wanted to share, so let me try that again.
Your microphone's on, Councillor Derbyshire, so. Which is fine, just so you know.
Vanity at a certain level.
Send him a text message. Easy guy.
You always said, where the hell?
So maybe maybe I should share the other one first. Sorry. So what I'm about to share is a couple of spreadsheets, just sort of show you how we get our calculations. So I'll start with. So as you can see here, if we go down to the bottom here where you can see the $19,831,213,000, we're increasing our overall operation levy by 4.93. So that is the levy amount. So that's the amount that we need to raise. And then right below that is the 3.6 million, which is our capital, going up by 26.5 0.05%. So if you look at the dollar figures attached to that, so just below 950,000 in operations increase, and then just over 750,000 in capital. So that gives you the levy that's required for those two facets of our budget. Then what we do is we go up.
So, but if I can just interject then, so that is the growth on the operating side from 18.9 million of operating dollars in 2022. This year we're projecting the 19,831, an increase of 930,000, which is, that's the 4.93%. And then for capital, it's an increase to taxation for the capital budget from 2.9, numbers are too small to me, to 3.6, so a difference of 757,000. So that's an increase of 26% on that capital portion.
Correct. So,
Okay.
correct. So that's our levy increase for those. So then once we plug that into the overall what we require to raise, because in this is that grants and taxation department, we'll call it, which we've sort of renamed finance now. You'll see that last year, following the same suit, we required $20,582,190 in taxation. And this year, we're looking for, in 2023, we're looking for $21,810,325, or an increase of just under 6%. So that's levy. So that's got really little to do with the tax rate to start with. So that is the amount of money that we need to tax in order to make our budget balance. Now what I'm going to, is there any questions on that? Does that make sense? So that's the levy, that's not tax rate. So now what we need to do is I'm going to share, stop this one, and I'm going to share the next one, which is how we come up with the tax rate increase. So just as I'm scrolling down here, so this is all of our assessment. So all of the assessment that we have within our municipality. So if we come down to the bottom here, the first green number in column C, you'll see is $3.3 billion. That's the assessment within this municipality. The number below that is the $21,810,000, which is what we require to balance the budget. The next column over is what's called a ratio. So some tax classes pay less than 100%, other tax classes pay more than 100% of the actual levy. So then we move over, on their assessment. So then we move over to column F. Column F is what's the adjusted amount. So that's what we actually can apply taxation to. So that's the $2.9 billion. So what we do is we take that the 21 million, and we put it over the 2.9 billion, and we come up with this number right here, which is our tax rate. So then what we do is, to make it real simple, so these are then, you'll see the tabs across the bottom, so we calculate for the county school taxes, and then this is a spreadsheet that gives our rate bylaws that end up on our website. So what I've done is taken the liberty here to take an average house of 250,000 and compare the two tax rates from 2022 actual and the 2023 proposed. So under the county, so we got county, education, municipal, and the base rate. So the base rate is the addition of all three together. So on my screen it's a little blurred because I got everyone's pictures. But so we look here, the county went up as we understand, 8.4%. So in 2022, on a $250,000 house, you would have paid $994 in tax to the county. It's now going up in 2023 to $1,078,802. So you're going to see an increase in the county rate that you're going to be paying of $83.54. Education went up by 0, so you can see you're paying $382.50 education tax, same in both years. In 2020, then the last column, which is the J, or the municipal, we're going up by the 2.95. So in 2022, you would have paid $1,786.54. In 2023, you're going to pay $1,839.24, or an increase of $52.70. So overall, on a $250,000 house, in 2022, you would have paid $3,163.52. In 2023, you're going to pay $3,299.76, or a total increase on your tax bill of $136.24, and that's that base rate, which is the addition of all three. So of the $136.24 that ratepayers in Strathroy-Caradoc will see, this council is responsible for $52.70 of that. The county is raising taxes by $83.54. So that sort of explains how we get, so the difference in the tax rate and the levy. So we had about a 6% increase in our levy, but it equated to 2.95 in tax rate. Your levy's always going to be higher than your tax rate simply because of the multiplier. Questions?
Not really. Because people are listening, I just wanted for you to clarify for everybody the average house at $250,000 assessed value, correct?
Correct.
Do you want to just put a clarifier on that for everybody?
So these $250,000 is what properties are assessed at by the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, so MPAC. So those numbers, people's assessment has not been reassessed since 2016. So really that 250,000 is sort of based on the 2016 number. And we'll see my understanding is that the reassessment is going to be taking place this year in 2023, so people will have new numbers in 2024.
But on what people's tax bills that they get now, we would have that assessment of their house or their property based on that 2016 number, so that's what they'll see on their tax bill.
Yeah, the only caveat to that is from 16 to 20, there was a phase in, but at the end of the day, that was just the incremental value. So really the same, whatever you see on your assessed value, if someone wants to go and take their property tax bill and just use the multiplier and just multiply the base rate by their assessed value, they'll find out what their full tax bill is if you want to break it out. And when we do put it on our website, we do break it out by all three, so people can see the county, the education portion, and the municipal portion. So all three are broken out on our website, so you can sort of see that. And then even when you get your tax bill, it's broken out, and the same thing holds true on that tax bill. It's broken out as to what the municipal increase was as opposed to a county increase.
You're good with that, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, like I say, thank you, Chair. Yeah, some people would say, well, geez, I got $1 million home, and that means I'm going to be paying $16,000 in tax. No, that's not the case.
Yep.
The difference between assessed value and what we say our houses are worth.
That's right. But as we've said before, or Bill's mentioned, that reassessment will happen, and it may be that $1 million number, and then we'll have to work with the numbers to, get it to something appropriate that doesn't, anyway, we won't be charging. current tax rate on $1 million versus the 250, because that would provide us with a lot of money and a lot of anger, so. Councillor Wilson.
Can we clarify where that 250,000 came from for the average house? Like, I've had a few calls from people in Mount Bridges and Ward 1, or Ward 2, sorry. And I've only had one person out of the 5 who had a value anywhere close to, like, that was under that. Almost everyone is significantly over that. So is that the average for the municipality? Or is it just the people who are called we have houses that are much more than 250? Because most of my calls were.
Through the chair to Councillor Wilson, thank you for that question. So what it is that that's based, every year we go out to what's called a BMA study. So it's a study that looks at 400 of the 444 municipalities in the province. They gather all the information from all the different municipalities, tax rates, financial status, and present that. That is posted on our website. And so what they do is they use an average by municipality. So in our case, what they would do is just sort of look at the number of homes, assessed value, and do a simple division. So from that, we're at an average of about 250,000, obviously based on the assessment, right? And so going back to Deputy Mayor's comment that we're really lagging in our assessed values. So that 250 is probably less, way less than what a lot of homes really are. So some of the people that you're probably dealing with are brand new homeowners. So they would have sort of a current assessment of what their house was assessed at, as opposed to someone who was sort of pre-existing, we'll say 2020, when that last assessment was supposed to happen.
But if I can, like, even those new houses, like a house that was built in 2022, would still have, for taxation, be assessed at what it would have been worth in 2016, even though it didn't exist. That's right.
No. So the way, so assessed value is based on assessed value, when the assessors assess your property. So for brand new homes, they will probably see the least amount of increase in their assessment. But for pre-existing homes prior to, say, 2020, you'll see probably larger increases. So anyone that's brand new homes are assessed at the brand new rates using sale values and those kinds of things that they go through to calculate those.
But then there would be some sort of, like, they wouldn't be paying a tax rate based on that current value of their home or the assessment in 2022, right?
Through the chair to the chair. So basically you're going to be paid on your assessed value. So any of those increases in those newer homes are included in that $3 billion, $33 billion that we have. So it's all factored into there. So their tax rate is the same as everyone else. It's based on assessed value. So that's the way they even it out, is we come up with a tax rate that sort of gives an average overall, and then that tax rate is applied to your actual assessed value. So those numbers are included, and they're helping drive up. So when we talk about some of our growth within the municipality, that's driven from those new assessments coming in. We haven't seen any phased in assessed growth since 2020, so we're almost 3 years into assessed phased in growth.
But everybody's paying really the same. Yeah, they're not paying a large amount more.
No.
They're paying the same as everyone else.
Yeah,
Okay.
everyone's paying the exact same because of the tax rate.
Other questions? Councillor Pell.
Just, I was gonna make the comment that, you know, when the reassessments come, as long as we don't change our spending, your tax bill shouldn't change that much. Unless you have a class of house that changes drastically more than a different class of house. Say a 4-bedroom escalates by 200%, but a 2-bedroom only escalates by 80%, then you're gonna see a difference in your end of rate tax bill. But there could be some people who see a decrease because they're, especially I think the newer homes would, everybody else's assessment's gonna come up, but theirs is gonna stay the same. So the amount of, if the tax levy, if the tax rate drops, then they'll benefit from that. So people shouldn't be overly afraid of the assessment. It's gonna change numbers wildly, but at the end of the day, as long as we're not changing our spending, then the amount of dollars that come out of your bank account for property tax should remain fairly consistent.
I think we have to all agree that when new assessment arrives, the first thing we need to do at a council meeting is do a presentation of what does this mean. So, and then show people in the numbers what will actually happen with the new assessment. Any other questions? I should turn my microphone on. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, anything else you would like to?
No, I know that we did, one of the questions I was asked at the last meeting, Chair, was just some of the interest rates. So I was able to go on to the Infrastructure Ontario interest rate sheet and get some rate sheets. And basically, they're in the 4.3 to 4.9% is where they are, depending on the term, anywhere from 5 years up to 30 years are the terms that are offered. So one of the things as we move forward, we'll be bringing forward the debt schedule and stuff that sort of looks at how that is going to line up. And to be honest, there may be, depending on the timing of some of these projects, we may not have to borrow as much because we might be able to come up with some more grant or something. So I think there was some wisdom in place in sort of going that route to start with, and then we can sort of look for other grants and stuff and maybe reduce some of this as well.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, seeing no questions, there is a recommendation that the Finance Committee receives the combined proposed 2023 operating and capital budget as presented tonight, and further that the Finance Committee recommends the 2023 proposed municipal budget to Council at the meeting scheduled for June the 5th, 2023. Would someone be willing to make that motion? Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Brennan. Any question or?
I actually wanted to make an amendment, but I will make that motion with the amendment that all of the hiring, we wait until the new CAO is online and has done a review of the department before any of the hires actually take place. Not remove them from the budget, but just have the CAO review the departments before we actually make the hires.
My concern with that is that we don't have an exact timing on the hiring of CAO, so I'm sorry, I keep pushing. My concern is that we may not have a CAO hired. There's certainly interviews scheduled and all that kind of stuff, but there's no guarantee that there'll be a CAO hired, and I don't want to handcuff the municipality from moving forward for the year.
And Chair, respectfully, my concern with that is I don't want to handcuff the CAO if we find out we have to make budget cuts to have 6 or 8 more people on the staff that are there. That would be fair to the new employees or the CAO if we're hiring people without consulting with them or her as we're in the process of hiring them. I don't think that would be fair. Could we put it to council and see what they think of the amendment?
I just voiced, I will ask the seconder whether he agrees to the amendment.
I'll withdraw my second.
Can I?
Certainly.
I'm just wondering, would we be better to deal with those as 2 separate questions? Deal with the budget and then deal with the other?
Yeah,
If Councillor Wilsey would accept that, because I see them, I know they're linked, but I do see them as two issues.
Yep.
Yeah, I could accept splitting that.
Okay, so we have a motion for the original motion, moved by Councillor Wilsey. Councillor Brennan will second that.
I will second this, just the straight motion, yeah.
Okay. All those in favor? And that is passed. So,
Should I make the other motion now? I would like to propose a motion that we delay all hiring until the CEO has been hired and he's done a review of each department to determine that the staff staff is actually,
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Pammer.
Question. At this point, this is only a recommendation to council because we're in finance committee, not in council. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would assume so, yes. Yep. Any other comments?
Yes, through you to you. I don't know where I'm going. Sorry, Councillor Kenneth. I get where Councillor Wilsey is coming from, and I think he's looking at the idea of it would, you know, we have total faith in who our new CAO will be, and when they come in, we would like to give them the ability, give he or she the ability to come in and look at all the departments and work with the directors together, hand in hand, to make some great recommendations. But my question was, so are we still doing that because we're in finance, or is that motion?
It would be a recommendation to the council.
Okay, all right.
Yes. Councillor Brennan?
This motion would affect how many positions? Is it one position we're talking about right now?
6 or 7.
I think 6.
I'm just trying to figure out how many positions are affected by this motion. How many proposed hires are affected by this motion?
So I think we're looking at clerk, 2 in roads, and I think and a planning position, and 1 in the cemetery, so 5.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, but this finance committee is approving the monies necessary for those hires. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Derbyshire, sorry, get to you next, Councillor.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. I guess that's what I was gonna say, tried to stop it before, but I wait, like, I never saw. John's right, or Councillor Brennan's right now, we have already approved the budget, essentially, and I think the point was to attach this to it, so that they can't go out and hire them tomorrow after this is approved by council. So, now we're having a debate about whether we're gonna hire or not, but the money's already been approved for, right? So just go and get it. This is, I think, where it probably should have been put forward with the motion to accept it, put everything to council, and then at council meeting, if we wanted to pick it apart, we should have done that. At least then they're still part and parcel with each other. I'll mute myself now.
Thank you, Councillor Derbyshire. Councillor Pelton.
Yes, thank you. Even though we've approved the money for the positions, does not mean that we have to necessarily go out and hire them. But what I don't agree with is enshrining that, because even if, when we get a new CAO on board, and they're gonna have to analyze the departments closely, he or she is not gonna be able to possibly make a determination that quickly on whether or not they're required. So what I would suggest might be a more appropriate measure would be that if the department really gets to the point where they need to hire someone, that they come to council and ask if the new CAO is not in position yet. And then we can make the determination whether or not that it's appropriate at the time. And in the meantime, they're not going out just hiring a position because it's in the budget. But I think enshrining it in a motion that's saying you can't go out and hire until the new CAO could potentially put our staffing issues in a precarious predicament, where we can look at it on a case-by-case basis and go, yeah, okay, we really need this one, but the other ones can wait.
Councillor Pammer, I'll get to you, Mayor.
Just in follow-up to Steve, I think that's a reasonable compromise where, you know, it's in the budget. Hopefully we have a new CAO soon, but if that should be delayed and things are getting held up, then I think that we should allow staff the freedom, or the directors the freedom, to come to council and make a request, but I think it needs to be a request, so we could possibly, I don't know if it's okay with Councillor Wilsey to amend the motion to say, hires need to either be approved by the new CAO or come to council.
If a new CAO is not in place.
Right.
And thanks, Chair. And I was gonna agree with Councillor Pelkman, and Councillor Palmer stole my thunder. I think that's a great solution. They're in there, they're in the budget if necessary, but however it gets there, it should be approved by council before the hire. So if we want to amend the motion to read that, I would support that.
I'm good.
Okay. Councilor Wilson?
Yeah, I'm agreeable to that change.
All right, so the motion now is,
That the hiring for the positions we budgeted does not take place unless approved by the CAO or council.
okay, all right. And that's a recommendation to council.
It's gotta be new CAO, because I don't think you're prepared to let me hire.
Oh, well, I don't know, new CAO.
I'm guessing that's what it is.
Okay.
And I will
Council.
second that motion.
Well, I think Councilor Palmer.
Councilor Palmer did?
Willing to the amend, you're agree to the amendment to the seconding the motion? Okay, all right.
Just a slight wording change, that prior to the hiring of a new CAO, approved by council, but once the new CAO is in, it shouldn't have to come to council after that.
I'm good with that.
All right.
Do I need to re-say it, or can the clerk just?
So let me rephrase it. So or let me or whatever. Why don't we say, we're saying that the new hires in the operating budget will not be hired without approval of either council or the new CAO if they are in place. Is that right? Okay. Good with that? You're good with that? Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried unanimously. Okay, I think that's it. So it looks like we have a budget to go to council, and unless we're change our minds between the time we leave the finance committee and council, it should be approved on June 5th. And if we do change our minds, then we have bigger issues. Anyway, so that's it for the finance committee meeting tonight. We will be having convening a council meeting for a in-camera session, but at this point I will take a motion to adjourn this meeting. Councillor Hipple, Deputy Mayor, all in favor? Thank you. And we will change chairs.
Are you good to go?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Welcome back. We've switched chairs. I'm back in my original chair. Motion to go in camera. Council may move into closed session to discuss a legal matter as permitted by Section 239 of the Ontario Municipal Act and Council's procedure bylaw for the purpose of litigation matter regarding the former servicing agreement with Adelaide Metcalf. We have a motion. Deputy Mayor McGuire, second by Councillor Hippel. All in favor? Carries.
Just stay for 1 second.
My apologies.
That's okay.
That's why you're there. I'm here. back into open session, report on in-camera matters. We had a discussion regarding litigation matter regarding the former servicing agreement with Adelaide Metcalf. Motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor McGuire, second by Councilor Wilsey, all in favor?